Hi, I'm Jason from Endless Wave Dynamics, where I'll be on the front line of your creative business battles. In today's episode, I'm interviewing my good friend, Jamie Delerict. He's a singer and frontman of punk rock and roll group JD and the FDCs, and also a tour manager, driver, merchandise manager, and basically a self-confessed jack of all trades for a lot of big, well-known bands and artists such as the Misfits. Jamie's journey has been a very inspiring one, a recovering alcoholic, 10 years sobriety. He's been working in the music industry non-stop for the last 25 years and gained more than just a great network by building amazing relationships with some really top players in the music industry. I thought I'd get him on the show to share some of the topics that we regularly chat about when we hang out. There's a lot of gold here. We're going to be talking about addictive personalities and the problems that artists regularly face, like depression, oversensitivity, not being able to accept criticism, talking about his rehabilitation process through AA and controlling the showbiz mask, the bad habits, and the tears of a clown that live within every artist. He does all this by practicing meditation, gratitude, and keeping a little book of positivity, and he uses flow states and sharing mentors to aid that process. Finally, some hustle tips from his days as a direct salesperson and how he became renowned on the road for selling more than most from behind the merch table. So enjoy this one with Jamie Delerict. Hi, I'm Jason from Endless Wave Dynamics, and I'm here with my good friend Jamie Delerict. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Jamie?
Hello, Jason.
Hello, mate.
My name is Jamie Delerict. Some people know me as JD. I'm the singer-guitarist of punk rock and roll outfit JD and the FDCs. And I'm also a tour manager, a guitar tech, a stage manager, a bass tech, a drum tech, a merch guy, van driver.
So a jack of all trades, really.
Jack of all trades, a master of absolutely none.
You've basically been hustling your way through the music business for how long now?
This is my 25th year. That deserves some kind of celebration or a reward.
Definitely.
Gold watch.
Something that we've talked about a lot is the idea that creative people have these really addictive personalities. I know that you've had your own addiction issues, and would you be able to speak to that a little bit? Tell me about addictive creatives.
Yep, I'm definitely the guy to speak to about addictive issues because as well as being the jack of all trades that I speak of, I'm also a recovering alcoholic. This is, wow, it's a year of anniversaries. It's 25 years in the music business, and this year in November, I'll be 10 years sober. Yeah, so I've quite literally taken things to the extreme my entire life. And I could blame that on kind of like coming from good alcoholic stock. It's in my genes because my dad died of alcoholism. Yeah, and I think it goes hand in hand with being a creative, artistic person. You know, you're blessed with creativity and skills at drawing or songwriting or musicianship. And then you're cursed with oversensitivity, depression, addictive tendencies, whether it be drugs or alcohol or women. I think it comes part and parcel of it. It's the old Robert Johnson and the devil at the crossroads story. And if you don't know that story, just Google it. It's brilliant.
So there's always usually a dark side behind people that are mostly creative. I mean, when I was playing in bands, playing drums, nothing else mattered. All the way through school, I always joke that I didn't give a shit about anything when I was at school. The only thing that I cared about at school was come dinner time and going and playing drums. So addictive personality when it comes to that. And I think a lot of people suffer unable to function in other areas of lives, and that's why you find these creative souls, these people that are given as being geniuses, suffer in other areas of life. You mentioned yesterday when we were talking about this that like the 27 Club is plagued with this kind of symptoms of shutting everything else that matters out for the creative art.
Yeah. I think it's a trade-off. It's a yin and a yang. If you have a legit, creative, artistic personality, you're also, and trust me, you're blessed if you have that, but you're also cursed with, I think, being overly sensitive with regards to everything in life, whether it be criticism, relationships. Your sensitivity's off the charts.
Is this something that you see often in your past? Or is it something you see often in other creatives?
It's been a pattern over 25 years in music, yeah. Up until very recently, actually, I put all my eggs in one basket. And I've been so driven to succeed in music and to tour constantly, whether it be my own music or with others, that, yeah, I've got a trail of broken relationships behind me that, I've played a huge part in, because at some point it's kind of just like the music or the girl, music every time, and it's all or nothing. And other passions of and other opportunities, careers, university, no, music, tunnel vision. And that drive, yeah, it's a blessing and a curse. It can get a lot of things done, and it's created some incredible memories that I can take to my grave, and you can't even put a price on. But it's caused a lot of heartbreak. It's caused me stints in rehab, which of course I'm grateful of now. I'm actually grateful I'm an alcoholic, because it's led me to a much better, healthier mindset.
Why do you say that you've actually benefited from it? Can you tell me about the becoming self-aware, the idea of self-development that you gained from your Alcoholics Anonymous? What set you on a path to enlightenment right now?
You get used to putting this mask on and the personality, and especially being a front man. I'm that kind of chest out peacock strutting around the stage, kind of like, demanding everyone's attention. That's the kind of shtick and the gimmick that I've got going off. It's legit. It's kind of me turned up to 11. And I think people like that and gravitate to it. And at the end of the day, it's showbiz and you're putting on a show. I've always thought that's important. But yeah, it's not the real me. It's like, it's the tears of a clown type thing. Yeah, you'd think after putting your art out there for so many years, you can't please everyone. No one. Like Bono can't please everyone all the time. The more popular, moving on. The more popular you get, the more haters you're going to get. I've always realised that when I start to get a bit of hatred and resentment from people towards my bands, I always feel like, hey, we're moving on up here. But the realism of the situation is, like, for instance, the first JD and the FTC's album, Recognise, which you produced, and we were both very driven to make that the best thing we could possibly do. And it was very well received. It sold probably more than any other album in my career, any other band I've been in. Probably got about, 40 excellent reviews, 9 out of 10, 5 stars, all that stuff. And we got one review from a big punk rock website, and the guy, it was a personal attack on me, even though I've never met him before. It refused to mention all the tremendous guest stars I had lined up. It was very personal. I never really understood it. And it said it was awful, basically. Just a disgrace to...
And that stuck with you more than any of the good ones. All those, he said 40 or so good ones.
Yeah, listen to me talking about it now. It still grates on me. Ridiculous. One person's opinion. So I think, yeah, if you're creative, you try not to be and you pretend you're not, but you're extra sensitive. And I think the addictive personality, because you have to be so driven and so tough to make it, in whether you're a comedian or an actor, singer, musician, whatever, other things fall by the wayside. And for me, I'd done every drug under the sun in my day, but alcohol was always my mistress. And I mean, as a kid, Mum, can I have a glass of Coke? Yeah, go and get one, Jamie. And I'd go into the pantry and I'd get a 2 litre of Panda Cola or whatever, put it into a pint glass, make sure she's not looking, neck the pint, fill it up again, and then go in like nothing's happened. I was like a sneaky alcoholic even then with everything. Pringles, Oreos, pizza. I'm an absolute monster. It has to be, everything has to be finished. Everything has to be gone. Don't bother. And when I was drinking, I had to be the last one standing. I would only go to sleep when every last drop of alcohol was drunk. If it wasn't nailed down, I'd try to snort it or drink it or whatever, I mean, it's ridiculous, but
Pringles is not the best thing.
No. I can't even have like a normal sized mug of tea like other human beings. It has to be a pint. Sorry, carry on.
So it's funny you should say that about like Tears of a Clown, and you also mentioned comedy. There's like people like Robin Williams that just like killed himself. You wouldn't have ever thought that someone like him would have committed suicide. Like he brought so much happiness to everybody else. That was his creativity. That was his passion. Everything that he was putting smiles on people's faces, but yet he couldn't put one on himself. And there's obviously a dark side that happens behind the scenes of most people creative. And so what I'd like to focus on is how can we look at what's happening there and then take steps towards correcting it as creatives?
Okay, this question is a lot easier for me to answer now than it would have been a year, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago. I feel as if I've kind of made huge strides in this. I've had a period of inactivity in music for like the last 6 months or so, not through choice, I might add. It's just the way it's gone. You know, we got off tour, second album came out, and we had some momentum, and then for whatever reason, we were just met with roadblock after roadblock, and we haven't even got together in a room for like 6 months, and I'm missing the hell out of that. But what's happened is that's forced me for the first time in my entire life to reprioritize things. I have an 8-year-old daughter. Don't get me wrong, I've always put her before music. That was like a huge turning point for me. Sort of like, whoa, I guess I've got to stop being selfish. But my personal relationships have hugely suffered, as I've mentioned. And this inactivity has enabled me to really develop myself as a person, analyze how I act as a human being in this earth, how I connect with other people. Despite being sober for a long time, I only actually completed my 12 steps in AA and with the sponsor. And that has done me 7 months hard work with my sponsor, doing my 12 steps in AA, has yielded better results than 3 or 4 years of counselling, which I've had. I'm a firm believer in counselling, absolutely nothing to be ashamed about. I think everyone could use that in their life.
I'm a strong advocate in that. I think everyone should see one just to check themselves before they wreck themselves.
Yeah, if you can get someone that you trust and like, that is legitimately non-judgmental to your problems in your life and has no hidden agendas, it can be a wonderful thing once a week to vent your issues. And that's served me very well. But like what's been amazing is my sponsor has dug even deeper through my alcoholic tendencies to work on character defects and just become a better functioning member of society. I'm of more value now to my daughter than I was before, and I thought I was doing all right. I'm a way better boyfriend and partner than I've ever been in my entire life right now. I'm improving. I don't sulk anymore, and I was a big sulker. And I've never been a violent person or angry person, but you know, my mum's noticed a difference as well. She said that she's no longer walking on eggshells around me. So despite being sober, I've still been a bit of an asshole, you know, with mood swings and things. Working the 12 steps in AA, meditation, getting out amongst nature a lot. Very simple, but that's another thing to connect. You know, despite not having music in my life, which has been my A1 in my life, my number one priority, you know, I found myself not putting all my eggs in one basket, and I've been just getting a bit more balance in my life, and I'm improving as a human being. I think a lot of my friends have noticed a difference. I'm way more centered, way more relaxed. I don't have fluctuating mood swings as much anymore. Yeah. I'm not perfect, you know. Again, with the creative, addictive personalities, depression is a huge part of that too. You know, I've had a lot of that in my life too, but you know, it's less and less, and it's all self-medicating, but in a good way now.
So you speak about becoming more grounded in yourself and learning yourself a lot more. What are some steps that my audience, some creative people, you're a photographer, you're an artist, you're a web designer, videographer, anything, musician, what are the steps that people can take to start letting themselves be more grounded? You mentioned meditation. Is meditation something that's important to you?
Yeah. I think it's all about getting in the flow. And I think everyone, even if you're not a spiritual warrior such as myself and yourself, you know, we all know what the flow is like. We've probably got different words for it. It's where you just have a good day. You could just wake up with a spring in your step for no reason. and your favorite song comes on the radio on the way to work. You find a parking space straight away right next to the doors where you want to go. You know, people are in good moods. You find a tenner in your pocket. That's flow.
Yeah, but people often mistake that kind of thing as luck. That just happens by chance.
Yeah.
I mean, is there ways that you can put this in your life rather than it just being left to thin air? I don't want it to just be this mysterious spiritual thing, like you say, like a woo-woo kind of day. I mean, surely there's a way of actually putting these things in your life.
Yeah, first off, I think luck is for losers. It's like it doesn't exist. You know, life can certainly be a numbers game. You know, if you're a direct salesman, you know, you knock on 100 doors, one of them is going to buy what you're selling, whether it's feather dusters or gourmet food or whatever.
Sure.
That's a numbers game. You can work like that. And actually, I've done direct sales many years ago, and that also taught me a lot about flow. You know, I remember when I was in the flow and being successful in it. Don't get me wrong, direct sales had me pulled over in a lay-by crying sometimes when you work all day and you're getting nothing. But I very quickly learned it was a headspace, a mindset. I remember taking out a trainee one time. He had a terrible day. It was raining in Grantham or something like that. And I met him. I says, I'm having a great day. Look, I'm just going to show you. I was like, pick a door, any door on this estate. And he was really upset. And he said, oh, that one there. I'm like, okay. Go and knock on that door, you'll get a sale, your first sale of the day. And he did. It was amazing. Even the biggest loser of all time is going to have some luck sometime. But the key is trying to get in the flow every day. Meditation is a fantastic one. I mean, I've read a load of books on meditation over the years and never really got to grips with it until I downloaded an app called Headspace. Anyone with a smartphone can get it. There's 10 meditations there for free. Or you subscribe for like 40, 50 quid for a year. And I've subscribed and I don't hand over my cash for many people. It's fantastic.
So I'll put that in the show notes. There'll be a link there in the show notes for you to be able to download that. So.
Yeah, that's one way. We were talking about music. To me, when me and three of my best mates are playing different instruments and one of our songs that we've written, I just close my eyes. Yes, it's amazing. You're connected. Meditation, I think you're connected. Nature, walking through a forest, you're connected. Dogs are the best. Yeah. Animal kingdom.
We talked about this. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You make eye-to-eye contact with a dog, and they are there for you wholeheartedly, loving you unconditionally. It's like there's no more feeling than what God could possibly be. Not that I'm religious, but that is definitely like a connection. When a dog loves you and you feel, you just stop to acknowledge that dog and give it 5 minutes, you know, like that's a connection. You can see it in its eyes, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to single out dogs, but like, you know, it's we both love dogs, and it is that's probably the strongest in the animal kingdom with that connection to humans. I don't know why, you know, the cliche, it's a man's best friend. I've got a friend of mine who he's a non-religious person, but he considers God. He says God is dog. Dog is God. You know, they are the walking, living, breathing like gods in this universe. The ocean is a fantastic one to connect.
I used to feel really good whenever I'm by the sea.
Exactly.
Like,
you know, there's a reason why, you know, it's like, oh, why do I feel so peaceful at the sea and just looking out in the ocean? It's a connection to the universe, you know? It's like alcoholics. Until I fully immersed myself in AA, I wondered why on earth I loved speaking to other alcoholics. And I wondered why I relished the opportunity to speak to other recovering alcoholics who were also musicians. They were my favorite. It's because that is your medication as an alcoholic, and it is connecting to another human being that like feels the same things you do. You know, it's very simple.
You sound very thankful the way that you just talk about that. How does gratitude play into this for you? What does it mean to you? Because I consider that to be something that's your specialist subject, the way you talk about it.
Oh yeah, huge part of my life, and everyone has certain go-to things, whether it be in recovery or just spiritually in life. And gratitude is always my number one. You know, everyone's different, but for me, it always comes back to that. It's the crux of it. And you can read any self-help book you like, and The Secret, Deepak Chopra books, Eckhart Tolle, the AA book, big book. It all comes down to gratitude, and I'd always known that and practiced it kind of sporadically. But there's a time in my life about a year and a half ago where I was pretty much at the lowest I had ever been. And I know we hung out a little bit, Jen. You were one of the guys that kind of like, lent me your ear when my world was falling apart. So many things in my personal life, professional life, they're just all, they collapsed like dominoes. And I was a broken man. I was on the edge of insanity and possibly like a relapse and drinking. And thankfully, as I spoke about counseling before, there is no shame in reaching out and picking up the phone. Everyone's got someone they can call. Don't be afraid of reaching out and helping. And I got a lot from several people. One of the guys who was a musician and also a recovering alcoholic, he made a lot of time for me. He was thousands of miles away, so he would, before sound checks and after gigs, he would FaceTime me and we'd spitball stuff and try and figure out how we're going to get out of this funk. I knew he'd been there before, and I knew he'd be extremely helpful, and he gave me a lot of advice. Of course, in your depths of misery and whatnot, you just kind of pick out the things that are easy. Yeah, well, I'll do that. Volunteer at a homeless shelter or a soup kitchen. No, I don't really want to do that. I'm pretty depressed as it is. I don't want to be around that. So I pick and chose which things to do, but then we talk a couple of days later. He says, did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, oh, no, I didn't really fancy that, but I did that, but it's not working. No, I was very resistant to it all. And then he says, have you done the gratitude list yet? I was like, whoa, rolling my eyes, well, I know what I've got to be grateful for. I've got like a mother who loves me and a beautiful daughter and great friends and a kick-ass band and a roof over my head. And I listed all this stuff. And I don't need to write it down. I know I'm grateful. And he's like, look, you've just listed a load of stuff there. It's like, you've been sober for 8 years now. Me and you, text message, 8 things we're grateful for every day, different things. Just let's do it for 8 days. Just do me that. And I'm like, oh, all right, fine. So we do that. And I didn't want to repeat anything. And I found it quite easy to find things I was grateful for, whether it was things that just happened or things that are in my life. Even if it's just for the technology and the iPhone in your pocket, or, the smile on a stranger's face, a hello you got from someone, a pretty girl walking down the street, whatever it would be. After about 4 or 5 days, he's like, so, I'm just checking in. Yeah, how are you? And I'm like, it's probably coincidence, but like, yeah, I'm feeling a bit better. It's like, after months, I think I might be turning a corner here. I didn't wake up just hating my life. He's like, sure, it's a coincidence. Sure it is. Let's keep going. And we did it for another couple of days, and like a steady little climb. I'm feeling a little bit better. And he said, right then, okay, now we're going to bring a few of my friends into it, a little gang. It's not just me and you. It's going to be a bunch of my friends as well who have been in the same boat as you and have got a lot in common with you. And all of a sudden, there's like 13 of us. Email gratitude list. That was a year and a half ago. And it's a huge part of my life, and I've met some of these people now face to face who've become very close friends of mine.
Quite big respected people in the industry as well.
Yes, very much so. Very, very much higher on the food chain than I. But the main thing is, it's like a little book of positivity in my pocket every day, because even if I'm slacking on my gratitude and I don't do it for a few days, I've got these other guys saying the things they're thankful for, filling me in on their lives.
Yeah, filling the gap.
And you know what? Whether I'm on tour, whether I'm at home, whether I'm playing video games, whatever, I stop what I'm doing when the little tone goes off in my pocket and it's from one of my crew. I'll sit down and I'll absorb their gratitude list, and I feel better every time, man. I feel it. I think it's better if you're kind of doing it with someone else to keep you on your toes, or with a group of your friends or whatever.
Like you said, filling gaps as well. Some of the people, when they've talked to me about this, they've also mentioned they try never to write the same thing twice. It kind of expands your mind and your creative aspect within practicing this as well. Like, if you aim to never write the same thing on your gratitude list, to always be looking for something else that you're thankful for, that expands your, not only finding things that you're thankful for, but also expands that creative muscle as well.
Yeah, because you realize that there's things to be grateful for that you just accept it as the norm. I don't care how hippie-ish this sounds. Like, I've never noticed autumn before. I've been around the block a few times. I've been on Earth more years than I care to mention. I hadn't really properly noticed the seasons change and just appreciating how amazing that is. Yeah, you wide-eyed and in appreciation of the smallest, most insignificant things that you just brushed off as normality a while ago. Man, it just improves your headspace. So any crap that happens during your day that would usually send you off and like, oh, I can't believe it, it would just be water off a duck's back. You know, you're aerodynamic to life's nonsense that's thrown at you. You know, you don't get offended as much by people. Your sensitivity, you don't, because you put your ego to one side. You know, because ego, it's non-existent. It's not real.
It's a feeling. It's an emotion.
Yeah, it's an emotion. And if you're not centered, your emotions can run riot and run wild, be irrational and destroy relationships. I think it was Russell Simmons who founded Def Jam. He said everyone has got time for 10 minutes meditation in the day, and if you find that you haven't, then do 30 minutes.
I love that.
Yeah, it's great. It's like, come on. I do yoga as well, and hey, listen, I've got a lazy streak a mile wide, much like a lot of other people. And sometimes I can't be bothered to do it. I'd rather do something else. I'll always find, I'm a procrastinator. I'll always find something else to do than what I should. But my back's going to hurt throughout the day if I don't do my yoga. My head is going to be, the pendulum's going like that if I don't do, come on, I've got 10 minutes just to be still with my thoughts and let any craziness just drift off like a passing cloud. Come on, everyone's got time for that.
It sounds like it's really making you present
in the
to
moment.
everything.
In the
so
moment.
Surely that's going to help you then focus on your creative task in hand. You're going to be able to write. You're going to be able to take better pictures. You're going to be able to write better music because your head's not somewhere in a negative space. You're not in a place where you're struggling for energy in yourself to be able to create what you need to be doing.
Well, here's the deal. For the first time in my life, I'm not sweating at what's happening in the music. Usually, I'd be thinking, oh, God, we've been off the scene for a few months. We haven't released a new video. We haven't released any new music. We haven't done any gigs. So people are going to forget about us. And I'm getting older, and it's a young man's game, and I ain't sweating it.
Because I'm in a similar situation. I've not played drums now for nearly, it's a year.
Really? We're after a drummer right now, Jason.
Yeah. James after a drummer with his band at the minute. So
we're that good.
Get in touch.
Really good.
Yeah, so I'm so desperate to get behind a drum kit right now because of that, because I've been away from it. I'm desperate to scratch that musical itch and get on with creating in a musical way like I've always done. But that's just because I've had space away from it. So sometimes you can get too clouded, too involved, not see the bigger picture and what it is that you want to do. And
you know what? It comes down to balance. Like in your case, you want to drum again now because you kind of left that dormant for a long time because you've been doing your endless wave dynamics. Before that, you were gung-ho with building your studio. Before that, you were running your studio. Before that, you were full tilt with your band, weren't you, And this is what I've learned recently. It all comes down to balance. You can't put all your eggs in one basket because other things they're gonna fall and they're gonna fail. I think what this inactivity has taught me and kind of like finding a spiritual path that really, really connects to me and is going to actually turn into a lifestyle choice now and habitual, which is very important. You can't just do it even there. Got to be habitual. Instead of waking up and picking up your phone and checking Facebook, how about you wake up and do 10 minutes meditation, and then have a coffee and then do your yoga. All that stuff's not for everyone, but if you can make it habitual.
But because of that, because you are more present, it means that you're getting to focus all your energy on whatever it is that you're doing at the time. Like you see melody, you get to give melody everything. You're not pulled away in different places. You see your girlfriend, you get to give her the attention that she needs while you're with her. You go away and you do work, and you get to focus entirely on your work. You go away and then you focus on your band and your music and your creation and your passion. And you get to give that 100%. You're not pulled a quarter here, a quarter there, and each area all suffering because of it. Because then you give each one everything that it deserves.
Yeah. I really hope I'm not coming across like I've just found the golden key to the the secrets of the universe here, because I'm far from perfect. And my biggest fault, certainly at the minute, with everything I'm saying, is time management, and just figuring out how I wake up and it's like, I want to do all of these things. And thank God I haven't got a full-time 9-to-5 job at the minute. I think I'd go to pieces. But it's hard enough finding time for everything I want to do and indeed need to do and become habitual and become just a better person. Again, it just comes down to that balance. It's fun while I'm searching for it, for sure, because I'm improving every day. And I feel it, when I'm with my daughter, when I'm with my girlfriend, when I'm with my mum, when I'm with my friends, when I'm with my band. I don't have to talk about it. They don't have to say anything, but I feel it. Just better relationships all around. Way better.
That obviously applies how you put yourself across in your business and how you make your money, how you make your living from these kind of things. So you were one of the first people that I know to talk about hustle and this idea of grinding it out. And you said that you've had like a little bit of a sales background. What are you doing at gigs? What are you doing with your audience? How are you generating an audience in the first place? How are you going out there and basically making a living in music?
Okay, the first thing that springs to mind there is a very, very grassroots approach to merchandise. I think that's kind of a strong point of mine. The social media thing is still a bit of a mystery to me. I involve myself in it all, but it's pretty tough because there's just so much of it out there and a very crowded marketplace. But what I do know is, I mentioned direct sales before. I didn't do it for that long, but it taught me a lot. And it's a very simple bit of advice for bands out there. We were talking the other day about this band that got a really big break and went on tour and then just sat backstage all the time, probably just thinking they were loading it up and they've made it and it's all gravy from here on in. Well, talking as someone who's had, soaring highs and crushing lows in the music business, you can't ever stop hustling. The best bit of advice I have is whenever we do a gig, I'm a very sweaty man and I give it my all on stage, whether it be 30 minutes or an hour and a half. But as soon as I get off stage, I head to merch. I don't go backstage and change. I got my sweaty stuff on and I go to merch and I greet everyone who's come to merch and wants to buy something. I'll always try the upsell. I don't think it's awful way of doing things. I always think people are getting value for money. I give away a lot of stickers and badges and stuff, so I don't think I'm kind of scamming people here. But after the kind of the first wave has dried up a little bit, I've perhaps got another band member that will stay at merch, and I'll sling some t-shirts over my shoulder, a box of CDs and a box of 7 inches, and say it's your usual small pub club gig, 50 to 100 people or whatever there. I'll try and hit everyone. I will go up to them and a lot of them are sort of like, wow, what's the singer doing? Just wandering around us. Even as a low-level underground rock band, they like the personal touch, and I'll always sell way more records and merchandise out there in front of the merch desk than just sitting behind. Other bands I've been in, I've sat behind merch tables and there's been a big gig and you'll sell 2 or 3 CDs. I don't think anyone wants to admit sometimes it can be that bad, but it is. If that's the case, then I'll hit everyone directly. I'll probably shift another 50. That's the truth. But what the saddest thing is about people in the music business and young kids coming up? I'm very free with advice. I'll help anyone I can. And I don't want them to make the same mistakes I did, not appreciate moments and to think if you sign your first deal or whatever, then you've made it and it's easy. I tell people about this little merch trick. Take it to the crowd, talk to them. What did you like? What didn't you like? Get some feedback, create a connection. And a lot of them, 9 times out of 10 will go, oh yeah, well, I'll not do that tonight, maybe tomorrow night, but they don't want to work for it. They don't want to. You can't sit behind your computer and cultivate likes. It doesn't mean anything, especially bands at a low level. You need to get some money in because gig payments are terrible and selling merch is still, people still buy CDs and records. Don't listen to anyone that say they don't. But you've got to get out there and hustle and take it to the people. And, we talked about it. If you get a good support slot on a tour, walk around the town beforehand. You're supporting, I don't know, Iron Maiden or whatever. Find the guys in the Iron Maiden shirts. talk to them and say,
before the show.
Yeah,
I think
come down early, check us out, you'll love us.
Yeah, what happens there, I think, a lot of times is getting a conversation and you can build rapport, you can build, even if it's just a small connection. What happens then is they're going to be more open to watching you that night. They're going to even possibly mention to a friend to go watch you that night, whereas they might have even missed the support act or something. So, like, the people in the audience actually wanting to participate in that experience because they feel like they know you. It's like we all know the nice guy shit band syndrome. We all know that band that we don't like, but we're friends with that person. So
I'm sure
we go
some
and
people
watch.
say that about me as well.
Well, you know what I mean? It happens, doesn't it? My friend was going to put out a magazine one time just called Nice Guy Shit Band, and it'd be about all these no, but seriously, it happens. You go see people even if you're not interested because you feel like you've got a connection with that person. So it's a thing that bands are a lot of time missing out on, is this idea of making connections with your audience. Back in the old days, it used to be fan mail. You used to write to people. You used to write to your favourite band, and if you're lucky, you get a letter back from your favourite band, and how buzz you would be from something like that you would be, pardon like saying it in this interview, you would be an addict to that band.
Yeah. I mean, I try to do that with online sales. If someone orders a t-shirt and a CD or something, then I'll put a sticker, a patch or a badge in and a little thank you handwritten.
Note, yeah. Young bands that get into it expect to have a living from it. They have such high expectations for things just being handed to them on a plate. And then they're very disappointed 3-4 years down the line when they split up.
Yeah.
Or they stop being interested in that. If it's a different hobby that's not music, they stop being interested in that creative hobby because they're not getting anywhere, but they've not put that kind of legwork and that kind of work in place.
And it's a shame because we're, me and you have both been guilty of that.
Definitely.
And we look back on our certain choices in music and sort of like, should have done that, should have appreciated that, should have worked harder there. Hard work never stops.
Realistically, you're going to come a cropper in life if you don't actually put that effort in, because a few years down the line, you're going to be regretting it.
Yeah. Yeah, no one's going to do it for you but yourself. I don't think you can wait for anything to come to you, whether it be emailing promoters and just letting them know that if an American touring band comes down the pipe that you think might be a good fit for my band, then, bear us in mind, and keep on it. There's a promoter called Emma Scott, who used to be a Kerrang DJ as well. She's written a couple of really good books on this. If it was my band, and another one, How to Get Airplay, and they're very, very helpful for young bands starting. She's got a lot of cool advice.
Do you think it's more quality time than it is quantity time?
Definitely.
It's more that you're actually making a connection with.
Yeah, I think it does come down to connections because, I've got to be honest, the last couple of big tours that my bands have been on have been with bands that I've worked with before who liked me as a person, knew that they could trust me, trust my friends in the band to be, to muck in when needed, to be respectful, not to be all drunk backstage and be messing
Go out of your
stuff.
way as well.
Yeah, exactly, yeah, and just generally help. And these are bands that would usually have other groups buying on to the tours. And, because of respect and connections, instead of buying on the tours, they're actually paying my band to open, which is, again, huge blessing. So many bands want to get on all the big tours. They want to tour with the Hives. They want to tour with Foo Fighters. Of course we do. We all do. But it's very hard unless you've got lots and lots of money and a big label to back it up. The likelihood is it's not going to happen. I got to be very honest. Bands don't really kind of like, hey, you guys, I've heard you're really good. I want to take you out on tour with us. I don't think that happens much anymore.
So really it is all about who you know, but that's not some fluffy sentence. You can actually make effort towards being productive with who you know and putting people in your life rather than waiting for people to fall in your life.
Definitely. I mean, let's take it a real basics here. If you are a young band, 18, 19, 20 in Nottingham, and you've got no kids, you've got no wife, you're perhaps living with your parents or in a shared house, and you've got a Monday to Friday 9 to 5 job that, take it or leave it, you should be going to gigs in Derby, in Leicester, in Manchester and Leeds, and making friends with all the bands playing and sticking around for all the sets and I think gig swapping is a very underrated and almost old school way, but I've toured America 3 times with 2 different bands, and they were essentially gig swaps. You know, we brought the American band over here and got them a week to 2 weeks of gigs. You know, I wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for that kind of grassroots DIY punk rock effort. It is all about making the effort and connections, yeah.
It's amazing. Thanks, Jamie. Covers everything that I wanted to say, and yeah, thanks for doing this, mate.
Thank you. Loved it.
Good. So, such a deep episode. This is one of my favourites so far. I wasn't expecting it, not just because he's one of my best friends, but because there's so much to be taken away, especially when it comes to life transformation. I really resonate with the addictive personalities part. I think as creative artists, we all feel locked in and being so passionate about what we're making that other things in life generally take a backseat. It's really sad to see when things like health, both physically and mentally, fall short of our craft. Also, friendships and relationships and even success can all be affected negatively. So Jamie has given us some powerful ways to become grounded and spread the love to other areas of our lives, like he said, become aerodynamic to life's nonsense. From this episode, I've got a real sense of not taking anything for granted, but really appreciating the journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that too. You can find Jamie's work at jdandthefdcs.com, or you can find him on YouTube. I've posted a link in the show notes, so go check that out. Maybe you can also check out his first record, Recognize, which I produced, mixed and recorded. You can get that at jdandthefdcs.bigcartel.com. Show your support and subscribe in YouTube, iTunes, and in Stitcher Radio. I make this content to help creative people in the areas that I've struggled the most in my career. If you feel like you're struggling with yours, or you feel like you've overcome such a huge hurdle in your productive performance, then guess what? I'd love to hear about it. So get in touch, like and follow me on Facebook. Let's have a chat about how we can bring out the best creative in you and in others. Cheers. Bye.